What's up guys, my name is Sean and this is Frost Prime. I've covered every major build setup with him and this will be everything you'll need to know in one video to absolutely master Frost and have a super easy build setup from me that's adaptable to any level of play, and let's see if you can walk away from this video with an absolutely amazing Frost build that you can use today. Before we get into build and gameplay, let me quickly just showcase these abilities again. It's gonna be a fun ride, just stick this out with me. His first ability, Freeze, you shoot out a cold blast in front of you. This acts as his area of effect ability. This isn't any crazy stuff, you'll see it in action right here. Using the build parameters here as well, so just be aware that we're using 75% casting speed. I'm just spamming this on targets. And let's see if we can even hit this, because this has almost unlimited range. Let's see if we can hit this from very far away. Let's find a guy back here. Let's aim it on him, and I think, let me look. Yeah, this should probably hit him. Boom. For his second ability, Ice Wave, it also does another AoE cold ability right in front of him in a cone shape. Visually, this ability is amazing, but it's his weakest. This is the subsume you get, and you should get rid of this. This is, if you put any helmet abilities on here, this is what you should get rid of. You'll see they'll be getting 10 stacks of cold, and since cold is a freeze at 10 stacks now, it's kind of beneficial, but everything in his kit will do cold. That's why he's called Frost. This is max range, visually amazing, but you'll see in a second, his 4 is even better for this job. His 3, Snow Globe. This is what most people use Frost for. This is what he's historically known for. You can put this around defense targets, excavators, any kind of defensive asset, and you put up a Snow Globe. It scales off your strength, it has a ton of health, and nobody can get to it. And you can have augments on where it freezes targets that get inside, and it will push out everything that's around you. This is base range Snow Globe, but we can do a few different things here. You can have a maximum of 4 Snow Globes up. You can't have any more, any less. And then if I put all 4 up and I jump up, this is base range, so these scale off range as well. I can even destroy them with my 1, and it will send a chill blast out at enemies as well. So this is the absolute tiniest you can get this. This is 34% range, and this is 280 range. This is the absolute biggest. Look at this crazy size comparison. This is nuts. So let's take this max range again and let's push out some targets. If we put this up, we push out targets, but we can also destroy it with R1. This will give enemies a 10 stack of freeze and they will fall down. His 4 Avalanche is another AoE freeze. This man is all AoE freeze. What this ability does in addition, based on your strength, it will armor strip targets, and also, if you put Icy Avalanche, the Augment mod on here, you can get Overguard from targets from armor stripping them. It will put them into an instant freeze, and it has the highest range of all your abilities. Why use the 1 and 2? I do not know. I don't know. You can destroy the bubble with your 1, and that's the only big bonus you get off of that. Trust me when I say this, I've tried everything. I've played around with this ability a lot because I wanted a fully nuking Frost just through his 4. With his 4 alone, don't matter how many times you activate it, it's not going to be feasible to use it in high level steel path as a pure nuking ability. You can have 1200 strength on this character, almost the max if you're in a Void Fissure, and you're not nuking the room with your 4, so you have to play around it a little bit. For Augment Mods, I love that Frost has 5 augments and they're all decently good. We're using Biting Frost, of course, and then Frost gains 200 critical chance and 200 critical damage against frozen enemies on all his weapons, which is absolutely amazing. But frozen enemies, as a caveat to this, means 10 stacks of cold and not moving. 9 stacks, 8 stacks, 1 stack doesn't count. Freeze Force allies within 15 meters get additional 100% cold damage to all their attacks, withholding an ability cast here, but it's not the very best. I don't recommend running Freeze Force on most of the stuff. You can try it out with certain weapons and build. You'll save yourself maybe a mod slot on a weapon, but it's not my ideal go-to. They're way more powerful augment mods. Ability number 3, Chilling Globe. It's not the most powerful, it's not the best, but it's kind of cool, especially in excavation missions or in a defense mission where you just have that running in the background. And what it does, it's kind of like a Titan Ward of Dawn with Helm of Saint 14 from Destiny, if anybody knows that. Enemies that come into your ward or that come into your Chilling Globe, they'll be slowed and then they'll be frozen soon enough. Of course, this effect lasts if you destroy the bubble, but it's super powerful, and it's a little bit of a, oh, I don't have to worry about these enemies while I'm going to the next objective, because you can have 4 of these up at the same time. Next up, an Icy Avalanche. This is one of the strong ones. So this is why Frost always runs around with Overguard. If you're casting your 4, you're armor stripping, and you're putting Overguard on yourself based on how much strength you have. This is base strength, so we're not getting a ton, but this goes up to like 60-70k, which is super powerful, and with every forecast. I definitely recommend having this on almost every build. Ice Wave is the only mod where I'm like, this is kind of like putting a hat on a hat. Because Ice Wave already inflicts cold, and you'll see these little spikes on the ground here, this is extra lingering cold. So Ice Wave is just kind of weak. I'm not a big fan of this. You get extra cold stacks on targets. Don't recommend using it. Don't use it. So let's check out this first build here. And can we just commemorate the fashion framing here? I feel like this is the first time I actually did a good job on fashion framing. He looks nice. He looks cool. So for the build itself, this is going to be the most interesting one. This is the one I showcased at the beginning. This is going to be the Breach Surge build. We'll have 2 other interesting ones here, but this is probably my favorite. What we're doing here is we're using Breach Surge to amplify every time we completely armor strip and then shoot them with a weapon. What I'm using here is Archon Stretch and Archon Flow. Archon Stretch for a little bit of extra energy through my pet, and Archon Flow, of course, because with a cold Warframe, anything that has a cold boost bonus, we're going to be using. He actually needs some base energy because his usual energy is super low, so we need some kind of flow on here, and Archon Flow just makes the most sense. Growing Power, since we're using his first weapon. Corrosive Projection doesn't make any sense here, and no other mod makes any sense here, because we already have a full armor strip, and this is just the most effective. Cunning Drift for a little bit extra range. We want high range, so also overextended, and I'm willing to sacrifice that strength. The only thing we need for a full armor strip is it's somewhere around 200 strength for Precision Intensify, and our 4 will work perfectly. You see here, armor reduction 119%. It's somewhere around 200. So every time we use this, we'll fully armor strip. We'll have no problem. Then we're using Streamline because these abilities, let's just look through here. This one we barely use, but this one needs about 35, this one's 35, and this one needs 70. So the casting is pretty expensive, and this is with Streamline. So we'll be able to cast everything enough because we're not getting a ton of energy in. Archon Stretch will be procced most of the time. That's why we need Arcane Energize for that extra energy. And then Molt Augmented. You could run Ice Storm, but you don't need duration on here. And the extra strength, you're only getting 40%. Here you're getting 60. So this is worth it. Same thing with Augur Secrets. Going even lower in duration will kind of suck with Breach Surge. So I'm just going normal ability strength from Augur Secrets. You could go Umbral Intensify. I just don't have the mod slot for that. Plus, Precision Intensify is way more important for instead of Umbral Intensify here, because your Breach Surge doesn't need extra strength. It has a decent multiplier, but look, we're not going that far up with our damage multiplier, and we'll be fine with the basic Breach Surge. Quick side note, if this build is helpful, make sure to subscribe. I have videos on all your favorite frames. There's a good chance that the algorithm will never show you this video again, so just to stay in the loop, go hit subscribe. The 2 main mods here, so the 2 Augment mods is Icy Avalanche for that extra Overguard. For us and our pet will be Invincible. And then Biting Frost for our primary weapon. The primary weapon this whole thing interacts with is our Zaw here. So this is the Zaw build, nothing special. This is the ribbon I have for it. I even have another one for it, but I just never came up on a good build. So this is changeable. Like, you could put something else in here. This isn't even great here. Because I have this and this ribbon, I'm still running Primary Merciless. You could even run Double 8 on here. Is it called? Debilitate. Double 8. Jesus Christ. It's Primary Debilitate. Double 8. What am I saying? You could use this on here, especially because you're mostly having 10 stacks of cold on enemies, and you'd be infecting them with either whatever you have modded on here, with either electricity or heat. And then this is just a basic build. You could also run the Brahma or anything similar, kind of nukes a room. This is my Brahma build. Also, absolutely nothing special. Go with Prime Firestorm, trust me, on everything that does nuke damage or that does AoE. Go with Prime Firestorm, it's going to be worth it. Let's go back to this. And then, we're running our nuke core. Basic nuke core build, nothing special. I don't even use this much. And I also, because I'm doing really good with the primary, I also don't have to use my Za a lot. Basic Za build, nothing special. This is just an example. For the pet, usually I say it doesn't matter, run whatever you want, pet doesn't matter. For this pet here, it kinda depends. You want to be running, of course, the Vulpaphiler for this mod, and this mod. And then you could run a Contagious Bond, Mystic Bond. That's just what I'm running here. You can also put on Duplex Bond. But it just depends on having a little bit of extra energy and better on the abilities. And also of casting all that viral damage to everything. So this is a basic build. You can even take off Enhanced Vitality and put something better on here. Because this pet is going to be invincible. For the Panzer Claws, what I did, I just modded them for electricity. You don't even need the Shocking Claws mod. Of course, it's pretty amazing. But you can just run it with your normal weapons. For Archon Charge, this is going to be universal for all the builds I'm showcasing here. For Archon Charge, you want to run 2 casting speed and 3 ability strength. The ability strength charts are kind of unavoidable on most of these builds because that's what you want. And then casting speed is just super important for his 4 because that can be so slow without casting speed. For the Nourish build, this is probably also one of my favorite ones, but the Breach Surge is just so powerful. But if you want to slap Nourish on here, of course, we're putting it over at 2. For Archons, we're running, for Arcanes, we're running Arcane Ice Storm and Most Augmented. And then, of course, again, same concept as with the Breach Surge, Archon Flow, Archon Stretch. And then this time, Brief Respite, just extra overshields, but it's a little bit more effective on here because you're actually deep in the enemies and you're not always freezing everything instantly. So what we're having here, decent amount of strength, same amount of range, and this time we'll also have Freeze Force in here, just for that extra cold to you and your allies. So this is a little bit more of a helping allies build for when you're running in a team for longer missions. Breach Surge really just serves yourself. Also, Equilibrium, because we're not running Archon Stretch, Equilibrium will just help us with extra energy. It's the only big difference here. For our last build, trust me, this looks weird, but I hope you're seeing the vision here. This is kind of the beginner build also, or the average build you can run on this. I have too much Forma on here, so this is all messed up with these expensive abilities. And I have like the wrong Forma on here, so don't worry about this. But I hope you see the vision. What you're doing here, you can put Ensnare over the 2 to even pull in enemies. What we're doing here, this is about the size we're going to have in our bubble. Let me get some energy. This is about the size, and this is perfect for like a defense target for an excavator. This is absolute perfect size. It's base at 100. And then you could put a rank 0 Archon Stretch on here if you want that extra energy gain. But you'll probably you could even put Equilibrium on here. You'll be probably fine with 1 Archon Energize and then Growing Power, and then just max out your strength, especially to have a lot of health on your Snow Globe. Because you're seeing, look at the health this thing has with max strength. It's going to have at the end about 26,000, and that's going to last a long time, especially if you can cast 4 of those, keeping like especially 2 of those per excavator if you have the mission up, and you can solo that. And then Avalanche, and you could also do an interception where you have 4 zones and you just put your Snow Globes on there. And then you could even leave Ice Wave on there. I wouldn't go with the Ice Wave Augment. The only 2 important are Chilling Globe here and Icy Avalanche. You could also go, the only one I would maybe recommend, Freeze Force, maybe not, but I'd maybe go with Biting Frost. And then for these, just run what you want. You could even run Narrow-Minded, but that makes your bubble really small. Because the bubble doesn't need duration, it just needs strength. Don't go crazy with the range. And then you'll be pretty fine. You won't need something like Adaption because you're going to get most through Icy Avalanche. Also, through all that strength, look at the Overguard cap. It's about a 52,000 damage and you're gaining 211 per target per cast. So that's pretty insane. How do we actually play this absolute beast of a frame? What we want to do is when hopping to the mission, 2 abilities really matter. Your Breach Surge and your 4. So, Doesn't matter which one you cast first, I have enough energy for both at the beginning. And with our 4, we're getting the armor strip and we're getting absolutely good Overguard. We're even invulnerable to knockback, so I'm not running with any primed sure-footed. You want to have your breach surge up continuously throughout the mission, and you want to cast 4 on big stacks of targets. Anytime you have the energy to cast 1 or 2, you cast them. If you're entering a big room, cast your 4, breach surge, 1 weapon shot, and everything's nuked. For a Nourish build, similar story, we want to activate Nourish right at the beginning, because that's what multiplies our energy gain. Then, as soon as we have killed some targets, I kill them here with the Galaxion, because that has super insane extra cold and viral damage for enemies. And then as soon as I have some energy, I can cast the 4 on everything. And with this Nourish build, I'll actually have infinite energy. Like, I do not have to worry. I get about the same amount of Overguard from targets, and I'll be totally fine. And these damage numbers on both builds are just absolutely insane. I'm purposely not showcasing everything because I want you guys to experience this for yourselves. But it's so fun loading into missions and just going absolutely insane. Like, all this damage and this nuke potential is crazy to me. I love playing Frost. So I loaded us into a decent mission here to talk about some of these things. We talked about everything that Frost can do, but what can't he do? So my main drawback to him is his main 2 abilities, his first and his second. The problem with these is that I'm seeing is his 4 is so powerful, it freezes everything in armor strips and it's a decent energy cost. What are we doing with his 1 and 2? Especially his 2. What is his 2 providing that all the abilities aren't doing? His 1 you can say, okay, it focuses on a single target, does a little bit of damage here and there, and it can destroy his chilling globe. Sure. Frost is really built, because he's an old frame. Frost is really built for the beginner Warframe experience that want to tinker with different things, and you're not always, because at the beginning of the game, you don't have any energy, because you'll be casting your 1 on some single targets here and there, and then you cast your 4 sometimes when you see a group of enemies. And you don't have Augment Mods, you don't have nothing. So Frost is pretty decently built for that, but for like late game everything else, we just have 1 ability, his 2, that is completely obsolete. Kit, his design, he's fun to play. I gotta give him that. I love him being this counterpart to Ember, where he is slow, he puts coal everywhere, he has precise abilities. With Ember, it's just nuke, put it out, fire everywhere, everything gets killed. With Frost, it's a little bit different. It really depends how you mod him. You have to help a little bit extra. That's my main drawback. I love the chilling globe. I love the 4. If I would change a few things about him, this is just off the top of my head, I would give his 1 and 2 a little bit of a rework and make it a little bit cooler. Maybe big ice paths, just kind of like the abilities like with Yareli, where we have just a lot of animation and a lot of range on the stuff. And maybe even playing into this whole snow cold archetype, make him some kind of snowman ability maybe, where he builds stacks in certain ways for his 1. That's just me giving my silly opinions on character design. For these frames, he's an old frame. Frost is an old man. For these frames, especially the OG frames, I'm really trying to piece these guys together in a certain way, build them in a certain way, that they're viable and a ton of fun today. My main mission is to make especially these old frames a lot of fun and satisfying to play, to just give you this OG Warframe feeling. I'm really interested how you guys build your frame. Do let me know in the comments how you build Frost. For everybody still watching, you guys are absolute legends. I got for you right here another video I did on Frost's counterpart, Ember. It's an absolute amazing watch. I showcased some really special builds for her, and I made Ember an amazing nuke that's totally viable in 2026. So, that's about it guys. Thanks for watching.